Hey, what's up, parental queens? Welcome to Baget, the home of family creativity. My name is Cedrica Baggett, and I help moms build unbreakable bonds with their teens through cooking. All right, girls, so now let's get to it. My first part of the show, my favorite part, but you know every part is my favorite, the motivational moment. So let's get it going, girl. All right, motivational moment quote for tonight is, I know it's hard, mama. I know it can be hard to get up every day and have these little people rely on you. I know it's hard to feel like sometimes your world is so small. I want to remind you, you are the world. You are the world that those little ones revolve around. You are their comfort. You are everything to them. And I hope even on your hard days, you know how special you are, especially to your little people. Okay. So even though some of us got little people, big people, some of us got both, like I do. Okay. So I want to remind you, mom, that we all struggle. There's going to be hard times. All right. Like we all juggling, juggling, but don't let that hold you back from what you want in life, your dreams. For example, like I'm in school, I'm in the military, I have a business, I have a lot going on. Okay. But it is challenging, yes, but I make it work and I make it happen. Because, like for instance, today I had an assignment to do for this a last assignment for this class I just finished, and at the same time, my daughter, my 5-month-old, was in my hand trying to attack my paperwork, attack the computer, and I'm trying to finish the assignment at the same time. I had to make it happen because I know what I'm going to school for and the dream I have with that degree, those degrees that I am obtaining, and what I'm going to do with it. And I got to juggle, even with my girl on the left side acting crazy, baby girl acting crazy, and then the other oldest kids coming around, mom, this and that. But you got to do what you got to do, mom, because you want to conquer your dreams, you want to reach for your goals, you want to achieve. You got to do what you got to do, because at the end of the day, it's not just for you, it's for them as well. So I want to remind you guys once again, our motivational moment quote, I know it's hard, mama. I know it can be hard to get up every day and have these little people rely on you. I know it's hard to feel like sometimes your world is so small. I want to remind you, you are the world. You are the world that those little ones revolve around. You are their comfort. You are everything to them. I hope even on your hard days, you know how special you are, especially to your little people. All right. So remember that, girl. All right. So let's move forward to today's fun food fact, which is orange juice. Okay. I like orange juice. That's my thing. I'm the type of person that likes orange juice for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, middle of the night. It's a thing. It's like orange juice, like in water, is like the same for me. I like to drink it anytime, all the time. So let me tell you a fun food fact about orange juice, okay? Orange juice has potassium, thiamine, and let me tell you a fun food fact about thiamine. Thiamine is a very important nutrient to have, because if you have a thiamine deficient, that causes fatigue, stress, depression. It causes a lot if you don't have thiamine in your system. I hope I'm saying that right, because yeah, you get the point though. So again, I'm going to say, of course, other than that, there's also, it's important for human health, beneficial to the immune system. It also has vitamin A and protein and other things I just cannot pronounce. Okay. But y'all get the point. Orange juice is very important. All right. So let me remind you guys that orange juice is protein, vitamin A, thiamine, potassium, all the good stuff. So make sure you guys drink you some orange juice. All right, girl. And that is my fun food fact for today. And so let's keep it pushing to tonight's guest. All right. I'm going to have fun with this because y'all know I love talking about health, and I always love having people on that talks about different aspects of health, because there's different things you can do with health. Everybody that deals with health and everything like that, they have different ways of doing it. So everything may not work for you, but there's always somebody that comes on that they talk about something that will work for you. So tonight's guest, her name is Adrian Delgado. All right. She is a registered licensed dietitian, author, podcast host, and co-owns a thriving outpatient nutrition practice with her husband. She has 17 years of experience in outpatient nutrition care and is dedicated to her craft. and helping clients achieve results. All right. She is a mother of 5 and killing it. She understands firsthand the challenges of balancing health and responsibility. So, you guys, please help me welcome Adrian Delgado.
Hey,
Hi.
thank you so much.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How about you?
I'm awesome. That's good. So go ahead and just reintroduce yourself and tell us about you.
Yeah. So again, my name is Adrian Delgado. I'm a registered dietitian,
Hmm.
and I started out my career in clinical nutrition. So that means I worked in the hospitals. Specifically, I worked on the ICU unit, um,
Hmm.
and then had some kids. Realized, all right, I don't want to do the hospital scene anymore. So I started dabbling in some outpatient work. I ran a weight management course for a hospital. And then I had a couple more kids and a couple more kids. And I was at the point where I was like, you know what, I think I can do this on my own. And so I think 2013, we opened up our practice. My husband's a massage therapist, and we figured, hey, why have two different companies with two different tax IDs? Let's just pull our resources, throw everything under the same roof. And the rest is history. So, yep, this is where I'm at. I love my job because I'm able to help people both in a practical way.
Hmm.
Um, I do a lot of medical nutrition therapy, which basically, if you have a health condition and you're not quite sure what the right diet is for you, maybe you have high blood pressure or diabetes. Basically, my job is to build bridges. Where are you at? What are your goals? And let's map out a way that is going to be healthy and sustainable. Because I think that's the other part of it. Like,
Yeah.
I can help anybody lose 40 pounds, but they won't be able to keep it off, doing
Right.
drastic measures. So it's got to be something that each person can maintain, because
Hmm.
I tell people what gets you there keeps you there. So if you don't like what you're doing or it's too hard, it's not
Hmm.
going to stick.
Exactly. So, what is your story behind starting the health journey?
I actually started out in pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor, just because I just thought I love science. I love helping people. So doesn't that equal doctor? And
Yeah.
so I remember I was in a course one time, and they had different professionals that came into the class, like a gastroenterologist or a cardiologist, pediatrician, and everybody was, firing questions at these doctors about their specialties, thinking that, it was going to help us figure out what path we wanted to take. And meanwhile, I'm the person in the back raising my hand saying, "Do you have a family? Do you get to see your kids? How do you
Mhm.
balance work life?" And it kind of threw them off a little bit, because they're like, I thought we're talking about my practice here. But it was really an eye opener for me. Like, I knew having a family was on my list of priorities. It was a non-negotiable. And if I was going to have that family, I wanted to be around for them. So the next day I signed myself out of pre-med. Then I started looking at, okay, what can I do with this degree? Because I didn't want to lose all those credits, like physics and calculus. I mean, I worked hard for those credits. I don't want to just drop
Right.
them. And
Right.
so I ended up finding nutrition, and that's kind of what brought me to this part. And it's such an awesome opportunity because I still get to use that medical background and, knowing how the body works at the cellular level, but then integrating it with the practical piece,
Hmm.
that shows people, okay, you have hypertension. Okay, so what bread should I buy? Right? Like, it's the practical stuff. Like, tell me which one to buy, which one's the lowest in sodium. And I can bridge that gap. I can provide the education, but then I can also provide the practical piece of, okay, this is what you want to look at, when you're at the grocery store. These are the type of labels you want to look for. And just, again, bring that education piece that's missing.
Amazing. That's awesome. So, how do you juggle all of that with mom life, home, being a wife, all of that? How do you juggle?
Some days better than others. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I remember I always used to have such a tremendous amount of guilt, because I
Hmm.
felt like no matter where I was at, I wasn't devoting enough time, like, in the other direction. And then I finally read somewhere along the way that said, if you look at your work life balance and you think of them at two ends of a line, right? You can't be in both places at once.
Right.
Some days you're either going to be killing it at work and then, not there for your kids. And other days you're going to be killing it as a mom, but you're not going to be able to do the work thing. And that's okay. You don't have to be in both places. And I think as working moms, we have it in our heads that we're supposed to be superwoman and be able to do all.
Yeah.
So my goal is just to strike that balance and be able to create boundaries around both so I can protect the time I have with my family, but also be able to set some time aside and, give 110% to the business. So I think it's always a constant ebb and flow. No 2 days look alike, and being okay with that instead of trying to fit it into a mold and then getting frustrated with the process.
That's a good way to do it, because you're content with, the mom life and your career, is going to get off balance every once in a while. But as long as you bring yourself back to that where you're okay, then it's good. It's all good. And you're not, nobody's perfect. So
heck no.
Sometimes it's going to be thrown off. That's just what happens. It's life. So it's part of motherhood anyways.
Right. Yeah. I mean, flexibility is everything. And so, and I used to get very angry and resentful, if my little people at home would, ruin the plan. And then I just was like, this is ridiculous. Like, me getting angry is not helping anybody. It's just making me more stressed out. So once I learned to go with the flow, and, everything got so much better.
Yeah, and I realized, like, with a lot of moms, it'd be the small things that would stress you out. And like with the things that kids do is like the small things. We can't get stressed out over the small things. The certain things we just let go. Okay.
Exactly.
We have to think about ourselves and our well-being, so we can keep pushing and doing what we're doing for ourselves and our children.
Right. So, 100%.
And so I would also like to ask, so like, you work with your husband. How is that? Do you love it?
Probably the best part, so I'm doing my thing in my nutrition room. He's doing his thing in his massage room. So we're not like with each other 24/7. Okay. I will say that I wouldn't want to have any other partner, right? Yeah. Like, I mean, he's everything. But man, do we butt heads a lot, because we both have different visions. And so I tend to be more of a visionary and be like dreaming up all these different programs and all these ideas, and we need to do this and create this. And I love creating things. And he's like, we need to make sure we can open our doors tomorrow. So can we please get your head out of the clouds and start doing things that actually make money? Because my program... Yeah, he is like the day-to-day. Are we doing the things that we need to do? And so sometimes our priorities don't line up, and that's where we start butting heads, because I'm like, no, but I want to do this. And he's like, but instead we need to focus on this. Right. But I will say, because we both have different visions, or I don't want to say different priorities, we have the same focus, but it definitely brings out the best, because if it was just me making all the decisions, I'd be all over the place. Right. I'd be trying all these new things, and, he grounds me so much. But then on the other hand, I also help him dream bigger and see what's possible. And so it's definitely an interesting dynamic, and it has taken us a few years to figure out our stride because we used to, and then the other part was, what do you have to talk about? Right. So if you go out to dinner, you basically have two things to talk about: work and home. Right. And we're like, all right, we're not talking about the kids, and we're not talking about work. And then we just found that we were just looking at each other and we're like, I got nothing. I got nothing to contribute, because that's the only two things that we know.
Wow. Awesome. It's good that you guys, find your balance though.
Yes. Yeah. Like I said, it took a couple of years for us to get our rhythm, and thankfully we didn't kill each other in the process. So,
right. So I know you have your book, Nutrition, Eat, Repeat, and A Busy Woman's Guide to a Healthy Mind, Body, and Life. So what is that? Like a small tip on what that's about?
Yeah. So I'm really excited about that. Neurosheet Repeat is the book title. And so basically what I did was, this is how I introduce it. As moms, we all have these stories to tell, right? We all have these crazy stories, funny moments, especially when you got kids and, you can never predict what they're going to do. And so I wanted to share those stories. Like I actually started out just as a personal blog to record some of these funny stories so I wouldn't forget them. Because I don't know about you, like I think in my head, oh yeah, I'll remember this. And then I have no recollection of it ever happening.
Yeah,
right? Exactly. So I'm like, I better start writing this stuff down. I'm getting older. Like my memory isn't as sharp as it used to be. So I started writing down these stories. And all of a sudden, I was listening to this lady talk about your business and who you are and what you bring to the world. And she said, what if Beyonce said that there's enough singers in the world, I'm not going to share my gift with anybody else. There's already another thing. The world would have missed out on an amazing talent, right? And so for me, a lot of times, sometimes I get in my head and be like, you know what, there's so many other nutritionists out there. Like, what makes me different than any of the other people that went to school and practiced? We all had the same schooling, but why would somebody see me in favor of somebody else? And I was listening to this lady talk and she's like, what makes you different is your story. It's your background, right? It's your experiences. It's how you look at things. So the world absolutely needs your voice because otherwise they may not connect to an idea.
Right.
Because you just have a different spin on it. And it's that connection piece that allows them to have their breakthrough. So then I started thinking, okay, well, what makes me different? It's my experiences. It's my story. And so from that, I decided, let's take all these funny stories that I don't want to forget because, they're great memories. And what if I connected those stories to nutrition lessons?
Right. Okay.
Like, what if I used that connection piece of motherhood and, even using my own mess ups as at the expense of myself and the ways that I've screwed up? What if I use those stories as connection pieces and then turned and molded them into nutrition lessons that people could actually use? Right. So let me give an example. So one time I had to take my twin daughters into a porta potty. Right. So let's just think about this, because we know if anybody has ever had to take a child into a porta potty, it is a horrific experience. Right. So right away, I have to take not one child, but two children into a porta potty at the same time because they were so young. I couldn't leave them. I couldn't leave one outside. Right. So I have to take two children into a porta potty that, it's so stuffy and so small, you can't breathe. And then I'm going to raise the stakes and, I'm going to mention that they were both girls. So, you can't just let that child stand up and, aim towards the toilet like a boy can. You've got to actually like pick them up and hold them and hope that something gets into the hole. But it doesn't, because it's all running down your arms. And I don't have to do this one time. I get to do it twice. Meanwhile, the other person, I'm like, hands in the air, don't touch a thing. And the other person's like basically standing there like this because they don't want to, with their hands up in the air because I'm yelling at them, don't you dare touch anything in here. The other one, I'm trying to hover over the hole, but no pee is going in the hole because it's all down my arms. And then I'm going to take that up even a notch higher and tell you that all three of us were wearing life vests at the time. Because we were on a rafting trip. And so, with that raft or those life vests all the way up against your chin, you can't breathe, you can't do anything, and just urine everywhere. So, right now, you may not have that exact same story that you can identify with, but you have had at some point in your mothering career, bodily fluids on you that you didn't want on you. Right? And so I take that story because, again, you can laugh at my expense. Of course, you should laugh at my expense. It was a funny moment after the fact, not before, after. And so I tie that into hydration. because, how much water do we really need to drink during the day? What should our urine look like? What are the risks of overhydration? What are the risks of dehydration? How do we know what to look for? Can we put stuff in our water and does it still count? How does caffeine affect it? So basically all those questions we may have around nutrition about a specific topic, I tie into a story that also talks about that lesson.
That's a good way to do it. It's entertaining, it's funny, and you get value out of it.
And then I slip in a little bit of education in there before you even realize what's going on.
Yeah, that's very interesting. That keeps the reader like, oh.
Yes. Well, and the other thing is there are a bunch of short stories. And so it's almost like, think of Chicken Soup for the Soul, right? You can pick it up, you can read like 2 pages, 3 pages, set the book down, pick it up at any point in time. And because the chapters don't build on each other. And so that's why.
I'll give you 1 second. I'm going to go to commercial real quick, guys.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, I'm back, guys. Sorry, you guys had to take that emergency phone call. All right. Sorry to interrupt. Go back to what you were saying.
Oh, no problem. I'm trying to think of where I left off.
The end of the writing, the book.
Yes. Oh, so there are short stories. You can pick them up and you can read them at any point in time. You can set it down because, again, it's designed and written for busy women, right? We don't have a lot of time to sit and read a 500-page book on how we should do this nutrition thing. But if you give me little short bits of information at a time in a engaging way, I can take that in, I can work on it, and then I can move on to the next thing. So that was kind of the basis. And then at the end of each chapter, I call them 2 5-star recipes that I added because 5 out of 5 of my kids will eat them. And so I call them 5-star recipes because if my family all likes them, and it is very hard to get multiple children to like the same dish.
Trust me, I know.
Right? Exactly. Because they don't. They all have their own preferences and they all change on any given day. So if I can find a recipe that all 5 kids will eat and not complain about, you better believe it went in the book because I got to share that information.
Yes, exactly. It goes back to like how back in the day, as old school parents, it was sit down, eat your food. You're not leaving this table till you eat it all. I don't care if you don't like it. That was it. But now today, you can't do that. Like my son always mentioned, he just turned 8 2 days ago. But I always mention with him, he does not like vegetables at all. So I find ways to hide it in food that he loves, and he doesn't detect a thing. And even when he asks what's in here, I'll only say the one ingredient that he likes, and that's it. I won't say it.
Yeah.
As long as he hears something he likes, that's all that matters. He'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool."
Yeah.
And eat it.
Well, I have a rule in my house. If you do not like what I have made for dinner, you are allowed to go into the refrigerator and pick out a fruit and a vegetable. It has to be both. The only rule is I will not cut it and I will not cook it. I have done that. It's on your plate. And it has to be a food that it is age appropriate for you to cut. So like when my kids were little and they'd be like, "Can I have a kiwi?" I'm like, "Are you allowed to use a serrated knife?" No. Like, then pick a different fruit. I'm not preparing it for you. And because I think the big thing too is we can't become short order cooks because man, will they play us, and they learn very quickly how to play us.
Yeah.
So for me, it's not like, "Oh, you don't like dinner? Okay, well then you can have a bowl of cereal or you can have a peanut butter and jelly sandwich." No, you're still going to eat something of value. If you choose not to eat what I cook, a fruit and a vegetable, and it must be both. And I will not cook it. I will not cut it. So choose wisely because this is your dinner.
That's a good way to do it.
And I'll tell you, some days they take you up on it. And I don't argue because that has always been the deal. But more
Mm-hmm.
times than not, especially as they're getting older and they're lazy,
Mm-hmm.
they're just like, whatever, I'll just eat what's on the plate. Okay, that's fine with me.
Yeah, like my 16-year-old, she didn't like vegetables either, but now she'll eat it with no problem because I always tell her, eat your vegetables, because she's older. So I'm like, you know better now, eat your vegetables.
That's
So
right.
now she eats them with no problem because she knows I'm going to say, get your vegetables.
Just get it before she starts talking about it.
Right. She'd be like, okay, I'm getting the vegetables.
I mean, I think what happens too is a lot of times, if the child doesn't like the food on the first time or even the second time, unfortunately, what I see happen a lot of times is parents, they just stop offering it to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, a lot of parents will say, oh, my kid doesn't like spinach. Well, you only offered the child spinach twice. He said no. And then you never offered it to him again. So how is he ever going to learn to like spinach if you
Right.
stopped offering it?
Yeah.
So,
because with my son, every time I cook, I'll be like, Nigel, you want some vegetables? He'll be like, no. So I'm waiting for the day he'll be like,
that's
yes.
right. You just keep offering it.
No, but I'm still gonna hide it in his food. Nigel, you want some vegetables? He'll be like, no. Why would you ask me that? You know I don't like vegetables. Okay,
Yeah.
but you're
Yeah, but you keep offering it. You don't ever stop.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's awesome. I love how you have the whole layout of your book. I'm gonna have to get that your book as well. And I do want to ask, like, what motivates you?
What motivates me personally?
Mhm.
Oh, you know what? Honestly, it's my clients because they
Okay.
show up and they work hard. And
Mm-hmm.
I know for some of them, exercise is not part of their daily routine.
Right.
For them, choosing healthy foods is not part of their routine, but they're working so hard to try to make it into a new habit. And my hat just goes off to them. And, I see how hard they work. And so it inspires me to stay on the path, to stay on point. So that motivates me a lot. Yeah. And just being able to have integrity in my practice. You've got to be able to walk the walk. You can't just talk the talk. And so
Right. Exactly.
I tell my clients all the time, I will never ask you to do something I'm not willing to do myself.
Yeah.
And so that creates integrity within me. Like, you got to show up because these people are looking to you as an example. And so you don't want to let them down or pretend you're something you're not, because
Right.
obviously that just doesn't feel good. So
Awesome. So what has been your go-to meal since COVID-19?
oh goodness. You know what? Something that we've been doing a lot of is cheeseburger salad. All right.
Cheeseburger.
Yes.
New to
Very
me.
simple. Yes. I'm notorious for turning anything into a salad, right? Like taco salad, steak salad, whatever it is, chicken fajita salad.
Mhm.
Um, but one of the things that, of course, everyone in my family loves cheeseburgers, because who doesn't love a cheeseburger? Right. So we just found a way to make it a little bit healthier. So I usually, so when I make it, so we have 7 people in our family. So I just get out 7 bowls and I start, kind of doing it. Um, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Uh, uh, Assembly line style, right?
Okay.
So I get my romaine lettuce and I'm like, okay, lettuce. And I throw all the lettuce in the bowls. Then I chop up some tomatoes, grape tomatoes. I cut them in half, throw tomatoes in everybody's bowls. Then I usually cut up 1 pickle spear, put it in everyone's bowl. Then I
Okay.
caramelize a whole bunch of onions. So the deal with caramelized onions, low and slow, right? And so I caramelize a ton of onions and I put that on the bed of lettuce. So we got lettuce, tomato, and onions and pickles. Then I just usually I'll either do ground turkey or lean ground beef, depending on what we're feeling that day. And then I'll put some of the ground meat on top of all the salads, sprinkle with a little bit of cheese, and then I make a salad dressing out of 2 tablespoons of ketchup, 2 tablespoons of mustard, 2 tablespoons of light mayonnaise, and 2 tablespoons of pickle juice.
Oh, wow.
And you mix it all up, and it's like your special sauce that you would get on a cheeseburger. And you pretty much have all the components, right? You have the meat, the cheese, the lettuce, tomato, onion, pickles, and dressing to pull it all together. And it tastes like you are eating a cheeseburger, but it's a healthier version.
That's nice. I like that. I'm going to try that.
And the kids never give you a hard time because it's like, you're eating a cheeseburger, buddy. Relax.
Yeah. And I know my kids like salad. At least they like that.
Right. So it's basically merging the two together.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. Yes, I'm going to try that. So I'm going to bring up your information. Can you tell us about your website and then about your podcast as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So our website, that's the company that my husband and I own. It's called Body Metrics, and we're actually right outside Philadelphia. And you'll see a whole bunch of different things on there. We do one-on-one counseling. We offer some different programs. I'm really excited because I just developed a program called Diet Rehab. And so it's a 30-day mindset challenge for people that, have been on the diet hamster wheel for years or decades or however long. And they're just ready to do the mindset shifts that need to happen that coincide with diet practices versus just focusing on food. If you don't change your behaviors around the food, it's going to be short-lived.
Right.
And so it's kind of a 30-day program. And it's a self-study program, so people can do that at any point. So you'll notice some of the services that we offer at our company in addition to some of those programs. And then my podcast is named after the book, Neurosheet Repeat. And basically, it's just I'll talk about a different nutrition topic each week. And then I always share a recipe as well. Because again, I want to give people that practical information. Like, tell me what to do and then teach me how to do it. Like, give me a recipe that you make, right? Just like how you share with your guests, like, or with your listeners. All right. Like, okay, I love all this information, but now give me an action step. Tell me what to do. What product do I buy? What should I integrate into my diet? Like you talked about orange juice tonight, right? Like, why do I need to drink this? And, or is it okay to drink it? Okay. Now I'm on board. I can get behind it.
Yes. Awesome. So I want to tell everybody to make sure you guys go follow her on Instagram and her Facebook page at Body Metrics Health, which I will be doing as well. And I know you guys got some motivation, some value out of this. And I know you did, because make sure you guys share and like this video, because you never know what other mom needs to hear this information. And if you guys don't want to miss any other shows, make sure you guys hit the notification bell and subscribe as well, so you guys don't miss any more valuable episodes. And so I want to thank you, Adrian, for coming on and sharing your story, sharing all the value. Again, make sure you guys go follow her on IG and Facebook at Body Metrics Health. And make sure you guys check out her website, bodymetricspa.com, and check out her podcast, Neurosheet Repeat. And check out, where can you find the book?
On Amazon. You can go to Amazon and get the book.
Awesome. Go to Amazon and get you some Neurosheet Repeat.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
No problem. So everybody that's watching, make sure you're here same time next week, next Wednesday. Have your face in the place, virtual, of course. And I want to thank you guys for watching. Bye.